Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Collins. I write for Fangoria, and I'd like to thank you all for sticking around for the Q&A for House of Abraham. Another round of applause for our cast and crew. First up, let's bring back our director, Lisa Belcher. Lisa, there you go. We also have Abraham himself and also the writer, Mr. Lukas Hassel. We have a genre legend, and I don't think I've ever seen her torture somebody before, so I was very upset to see that. She's one of the nicest people I know, Lin Shaye. And last but not least, do not call her Daisy, D, Natasha Henstridge. That's out of my phone. There goes all my notes. I broke it down. First up, we'll get into the development of the movie and stuff, but I have to ask, first up, I want you to give props and recognition to whoever the poor PA was that had to hang like 100 thumb drives off the ceiling. It seems to be one of the most thankless tasks anybody could do. Do you remember, like, whoever put that together? Can we just, yeah?
Oops.
Oh, yeah, mine wasn't on. You gotta look. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
All right, good. Yeah. Okay. I love that you're starting with that. So
First things first, most
yes,
important.
Yes. Props goes out to Ashley Landavazo, who's our production designer, and she had a whole team of people. So I don't know specifically who hung it, but it was all her design and her doing. So yes, thanks for noticing.
Just talk about the development of the progress. Was this something that you, Lukas, did you write this on your own? Did you guys develop it together? How did it come together?
Yeah, so Lukas and I have collaborated on another project together. So we talked and I said, let's do this again and let's make a feature this time. And so Lukas came up with this crazy idea. I read the script and I was so into it. I'm like, let's go. And I think what I loved most about it, two things were just the uniqueness and the riskiness of it. We've said many times in interviews that Hollywood wouldn't do this because there's definitely some risky topics in it, first of all. And then second of all, I think my favorite thing about your writing is the unexpected. I think we go to the movies and it's kind of, you know what's gonna happen, and I was just so surprised by the ending and was so excited to put it together, so.
Yeah, you pretty much said it all. It was, when Lisa approached me about doing this feature together, I just wanted to make sure that I think as an indie filmmaker and writer, your best shot at getting any sort of attention is A, horror probably, and then B, do something outside of the box that Hollywood wouldn't do for more money and bigger everything and so forth. And so I wrote this with a bit of heart and a bit of head. The heart part was I wanted to explore this notion of manipulation. I think I see it around the country all the time, where sort of lesser, potentially educated people gets abused by ruthless, powerful, wealthy people. So I wanted to explore this notion of like, be careful who you trust when you're at your most vulnerable. So that was the heart of the story. So it's really about exploring manipulation in many different ways. And then the heady part of it was like, how do you make a feature that doesn't cost $1 million, which means one location, few actors, and so forth. So I just wanted to do something I hadn't quite seen before. That was the drive for this particular concept.
I wanted to ask Natasha, I noticed tonight, because I was rewatching the movie, because I had to watch it the first time to prepare for this, when you walk up to the house, you kind of like touch the daisies. Yeah, I was going to say finger the daisies, that sounds weird. That's something you don't pick up on the first time around, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I was just curious for you, did you know the twist when you sat down to read the script, or was that a surprise to you?
Had no idea, and that was exactly the thing. Is this on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you just have to hold it right in front.
Lukas gave me the script and said, no pressure. We're friends. We've worked together before. No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. And he kept saying that, like, seriously, we're going right away. And I was just thinking, maybe just take a look at it. And I got in the bath where I do all my best work. Truly, I read everything in the bathtub for some reason. But I got in the bath, and it was such it was totally a surprise for me. I know some people say they watch the movie and they see it's coming. For me, reading the script, I didn't see it's coming. I didn't see that it was coming. The twist was coming at all. So for me, I was so enamored, and also the build-up throughout the beginning of the film. I thought, you just don't really know what's going down, and I loved that sort of tension build, and I felt that way reading it too. So, yeah.
And similarly for Lin, your first few scenes are you're very sweet, and you're kind of like almost a background character. And I was like, and I'm watching, I'm like, when is Lin gonna get into this more? And then you do with such gusto. The last half hour is like half you torturing this poor guy. Did they prepare you for that at all, or did you just get to enjoy that?
I've been prepared for that all my life. I really almost can't remember the entire genesis of the character, except that I had sort of, part of it was dictated by my size compared to Lukas and also to Natasha, and I kept feeling like a little dog. and how dogs look up at their master, and that sort of hope that they're going to get a pat on the head. And actually, Stacey Lane Wilson wrote a wonderful review. She just that for me, it was so personally wonderful because that was what she totally picked up on in our conversation, was finding the core of the character. Because Beatrice could have been anybody, and she could have been played, really evil kind of from the beginning. I missed one moment that got cut, actually, where when before I see Natasha, I'm waving and I'm saying, hi. And for some, the constraints of making a movie, there's always things you lose that you love, but that was sort of her. It was like always hoping that someone would see her. And whenever she looked, all she saw was his stomach. She never really got to look at his face hardly, except it was like this. So a lot of it was really created by of the physicality of our real people, of our real persons. And I found suicide is a very, very, very hot, not discussed topic. And I think it was totally unique to make a film with that as its base, and I thought that was really brave of Lukas to tackle that subject matter. And I think it's something, without getting really emotional about it, but on some level we have all thought about, I don't want to be here anymore. And it doesn't necessarily mean you want to drown yourself or you want to cut yourself or kill yourself, but it is asking to go away, to leave this, whatever it is that's haunting you and creating anxiety daily for you, makes you want to leave. And so I thought that was a really interesting idea also. And Beatrice wants just the opposite. She wants to be there so badly. Please, somebody see me, and somebody see me. And she's kind of a heartbreaking character in that way. Although I must say, the scene with Marvel and I, we had so much fun shooting that. And I kept trying to think of the worst things I could pour in his wounds, to make So it was very liberating to be able to really explore my own sadism.
Can I add a comment to that?
Yeah.
Let me see that. I don't want to cut you off, but no, it's fine.
I don't know if Lin remembers this, but that day, during that scene, our lunch was sandwiches. And Lin had an egg salad sandwich. So then, we're filming, getting ready, and as she's going into it, she's adding some of her own, which I absolutely loved. And all of a sudden, egg salad became the weapon of choice. Which of course had to be cut because it didn't make sense, but I remember that gave me a good laugh. So thank you.
Going on something Lin was saying about the subject matter in the film, I was curious. I guess it could be for anybody, but mainly for you, Lukas, writing it. There's that one line that I love when you guys are watching the home video, and you're like, "Oh, I miss that shirt." Just like anybody would watching a home video, where they're just like kind of reminiscing about random stuff, and it's so natural. It's like such a natural thing for you. But I'm curious, like writing and directing, and for you guys for your performances, just finding that balance throughout, where the subject matter never gets overbearing. It's it's not a funny movie by any means. There is levity to it, but it's never like it's not. You know what I mean? It's just not such a. It's not as grim as you might think if you just heard the plot. And I was just curious about finding that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a tricky balance, but for me, it was all about tone. I think both Lisa and myself agreed that it wasn't going to go spoofy, but I think with any good horror, it's basically drama, gussied up in horror, right? And all good writing, I think, is drama, whether it's sci-fi or horror, you sort of gussied up in a genre. But it was a matter of trying to find that limit where you're not sort of using it as a gimmick and actually really drive this notion of exploring manipulation, which is what it was. And I think everybody just nailed that tone beautifully, because it's very easy to go it could so easily go spoofy because of what's going on, and some of these jokes in there are to sort of bring some levity to a very harsh matter, and that juxtaposition, I think, is crucial to make sure that we get some of those lighter moments to make the darker moments hit harder. And my notion was always to sort of make people think a little bit about what that means, because Abraham's words are outrageous, right? And he's a sick puppy in so many ways, but some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, there is a kind of sanity to it. There is a kind of reason to it, even if it's harsh. This notion of like, well, you got life without asking for it, you can give it back, right? That's a crazy harsh line, but there's some truth to it. So I wanted to make sure that we rode that line of like, what is nuts and what's not nuts. So yeah, that was important to get that right.
Life is not for everyone is one of my favorite lines, period.
Life is not for everyone, the tagline.
That's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
But I mean, that's something also that I think we all, on some levels, daily, there's lines that you've put in that really resonate. It's sort of the deepest part of you that goes, oh, I don't talk like that, I don't think like that. But I think that's sort of where the undercurrent of this, the premise is so powerful, because we all feel that way. Like, this life is fucked. I'm sorry. Right now we are really, pardon my language, but I mean, but that's really the truth. I feel like we're being misused, and by lots of different things that are going on, we all know, and the world is a very difficult place right now, and I feel like you tackle that subject with phraseology that really resonated, I think, and you're going to think about this movie for a long time. I mean, I think there's things in it that are really powerful, and they're very subterranean in all of us. You know, it lives in a very dark place. So I thought I thought it's really a powerful and brave script, and I want to be a part of that.
I'll just make a quick comment about the script. As far as you were saying in the pacing, Lukas, one of the things I love about your writing is you really write with the edit in mind. And so our editors in the house, by the way, Lars Gustafsson in the back. It made it easy to direct, and in post it made it easy because you think about each scene cutting in and cutting out, and that's kind of already on the page. So, I mean, of course we had changes, but props to your writing for that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
For Natasha and the other actors as well, but starting with Natasha, because we haven't heard from you for a bit. Just can you talk about working with the other actors?
I'm leaning back because I have to pee so bad.
Oh, okay.
I'm making my pants, okay? That's the deal with that. That's what's happening.
A popcorn
Go
bucket,
on.
anyone?
Everyone needed to know that. Go on.
I can't top that. Just talking about working with the other actors in the film, because they cannot be here with us tonight, but we want to give them their props.
Yeah, I mean, as you saw, everybody just did such a great job. But I have to say kudos to Lisa too, because honestly, you got great performances out of people, because I was there for the rehearsals, and then I am there now to see the film, and I'm like, damn, there were some things with everybody, which is always the case, right? You do rehearsals, you have moments, and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. And the way that you got people's performances and you brought them together in a really beautiful way and got the best out of people in a very gentle, calm, non-egomaniacal way, I just thought was so brilliant. Which is how you get the best work out of creative people, I think. Is massage and maneuvering in a kind, creative way. And I think you did such a great job with that, honestly.
I wanted to add, she's a great listener.
Yeah, yeah.
No, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that, because often directors who, they've got so much on their mind, they're listening, but they're not really taking it in. And I always felt that you really listened to any question I had or any, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. I was just saying that Lisa was, as well as being a great listener, she was really allowed us to make up our own ideas that we were able to often implement right in the, right then. It was without mistrusting us, and for an actress, in particular actor, being trusted is paramount to continuing your creative process. And often you don't get that with directors who are so busy, you can't help it. They're so busy, they've got so much to take care of, but you never gave that up for your actors you never gave that up you never gave up listening to your actors because you had so much other things you had to think about. And I really particularly appreciated you for that.
Well, thank you so much for this. I appreciate those words. A few of our actors, there is one in the house. Sean Freeland, where are you? He played Pierre. And yeah, this just a note on cast and actors. I was crazy grateful to have a really good team and people. You guys were all open to collaborating and all of that. So and then the other actors that weren't able to be here is Marvel, who played the role of Alex.
Amazing.
Who was incredible actor to work for. He's on set right now, so couldn't be here. But yeah, really great cast that I'm real proud of. So.
You mentioned the location, like having a single location earlier. Did you already? Is this a location you guys already knew about, or did you find it through in the process of pre-production? Just talk about finding that. This is an amazing house.
Thanks. Yeah, we had a few houses that fell through and that didn't work out, but the one that we got, I think, ended up being perfect for Abraham's house. And just an interesting note is the owners of it, or the main owner, is a painter, and so all the paintings that were in the house, the stripes and the geometric, first of all, kind of lent itself well to the modern feel that we wanted for the house, and then that's how we put in that he was a painter. So. Yeah, so the main house was where everything was filmed in the house, and then the lodge is at a studio in Bastrop. That's where his creepy house is. So.
We need a place for the pool.
The crematorium was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like that.
No, we needed a place for the pool because of the pool scene with the caves. That was super important. That was one of those things in early stages we were like, there were some voices that wanted to cut that scene for budget reasons, and we understood that because it's expensive and we had stunt people and so forth to make it safe. But it was one of those things that both Lisa and I were convinced that scene has to sort of anchor everything in some way, because it really starts off that horrible, squirmy wave of stuff that's about to happen. So we fought for that scene. We really had to keep it in there. So there are certain things that had to happen for that too, for that house to work out.
You say that, and I'm take a deep breath, even when you just say the pool scene. I'm like,
That actor was so funny.
And the actor Will Magnuson, who played Jonathan.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene of all the scenes in the movie for me was the scariest, because I was the one closest to him in the pool, and I wasn't in the cage. And so that meant that oftentimes I would be the one to pull the lid off, which was just Velcroed. So he could stand up, but hypothetically, everybody was terrified, although we had stunt people in the pool, and we had heated it the night before at great expense, because otherwise we couldn't have been there all day. We were going to get hypothermic, so that was one condition. But yeah, he killed it. I mean, the bravery of him and keeping his breath under control, and it was like, yeah, he nailed it. Was that? Okay.
I was just joking. I said you killed it.
Oh, I killed it.
Lynn, you mentioned something briefly about coming up with your own ideas. I was just curious, did you come up with some ideas for Beatrice's backstory that we not necessarily
Well,
hear
the
in the film?
smooch on Alex, that was all you.
She was dying for love. Yeah, I mean, it's finding the core. As I said, it was sort of an easy choice it just physically the way I felt. I mean, I feel very intimidated by these two people. Just by nature of being, and I'm not that little, but I'm like 5'3" or whatever, and both of you are gorgeously tall. And just this idea for me that why is she there? And I kind of made up a backstory a little bit that we know because we look at my wrist also that I've been a candidate. And perhaps, who knows, this was in the earlier part of his journey, and for some reason, maybe I always assumed he convinced me not to kill myself, and so I take that as love, and which maybe it was, I don't know, but and of course he doesn't at all. I'm basically am his pet, and I do his bidding, and I mean anybody that will kill for him and push people. My favorite part was that gurney with the body paint on it, because the gurney, and they wanted to have somebody move it for me. I said, no, that's the whole idea. Is this woman is like, I'm going to get that effing thing in the crematorium if it kills me, and I go in with him. I mean, it's just it was funny in a way, but it was. I got so much anger out of myself trying to get that goddamn gurney into the crematorium. And of course, it wasn't marble in the bag. It was it was just paper or whatever. But I wanted to make it look like it was the hardest thing I ever did. So, as all actors, you look for those moments in a scene that make it that fills it in a way. It's like coloring in the outlines. And I actually do love that little character. I find her very touching. And the thing that worked great was the knife and the whatever they put in my back. Because I thought, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I really, when I see it, it is kind of harrowing. And you don't really hear it, but I say Abraham as I slide down the wall. Anyway, so lots of stuff. I mean, it lent itself to a lot of creativity, and I was very grateful for that. So thanks, Lisa.
It might be the most we hate Lukas in the entire movie, Abraham. When he helps kill people, but the most I hated him was leaving you to push this gurney through the door when you start. He's just well, I gotta go somewhere else now. What a dick! Help her, Jesus. Monster. And speaking of monstrous deeds, Natasha Henstridge, you punch Lin Shaye in the face in the movie, and this is another thing that's not easy to watch. Can you guys just talk about working together? And it's not a huge fight scene, but it is an altercation. Just talk about shooting that scene together.
My God, Lin Shaye is a force of nature, first of all. The woman does not back down from anything. She's doing her own stunts. She's all up. At one point, I said, Lin, I'm literally going to hurt you. I'm so much bigger, and getting you got so involved in the fight scene. So I was very nervous for you, but you don't back down from anything. You're just like, no, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm coming. I'm doing it. And I was like, okay, all right, here we go. Yeah, you're a force.
That's because I had a great scene partner who I knew really wouldn't hurt me.
Of course. Thank God my aim was right.
I just want to do a quick shout out to Natasha, because I think Natasha, in many ways, you have the most difficult role in the film, because you are playing so many different levels of what you know and what the audience doesn't know and what they might find out later that has to make sense in hindsight. So you were walking an incredible line, and every time I watch it, I notice how much is going on, and I'm so appreciative for your performance. I think you nailed it.
I have to go in knowing what I know, knowing that I'm going to see my brother, knowing all of these things, but playing it as just another participant. So, the subtext and that part was interesting. It's the kind of film where if you go back and you look, you see, oh my God, okay, this is why she was looking. This is why and really being able to play that and properly. But I needed a lot of reminders. actors, to be honest. When I lived with the writer of the script every night, I'm like, Lukas, so we're doing what scene tomorrow again? Now tell me again, what happened here? No. We did run lines together.
We stayed in the house together, Natasha and myself, during the entire shoot. And I have to say, obviously, I love Natasha, we're great friends. And it was such an amazing gift to shoot all day together, come home to the house, cook together a little food, something, get a gin and tonic together, have a laugh about the shoot during the day, and then run lines for the next day. I mean, it was such a fun 3 weeks.
And then be terrified the next day when I was
Right.
working with you again, like, God, do I even know this person? They're freaking me out now.
You look beautiful when you sleep, that's all I have to say.
Want to turn it over to you guys for a few questions, if anybody has any for our cast and crew up here. Yeah, I see this hand right here, so.
Yeah, so I've got to say, the thing that really leaps out, you've got so many movies, green screens, all that kind of stuff, you know, like it's empty and it means nothing. Like probably the strongest bit of this film, the impact there is like the drowning, the sucking in of the bag. It seems very, very real. I'm curious to know how you did, how did you do that safely? Like, how did you orchestrate those bits? Because it really is like the peril of life and death there with something, I mean, somebody spends $1 million creating an explosion and actually can have an effect of just this bag on someone's head. It's taped, how did you get it off? Like, I'm curious.
Well, so I'll answer, the bag thing. It was real bags, but we had multiple versions of them. So Ashley, our production designer, had one that was taped at the bottom, but then...
There she goes.
Oh, she's going We'll wait, no. And it was cut off at the top so they could breathe, and it had a headband on it when we were shooting this part. Then there was one that had a hole in the back and the tape around it. And then we weren't getting, because of the holes and the safety, and we had a stunt, coordinator there as well. Then I said to Marvel and to Callie, I said, all right, you guys, the effect is not happening because the air is escaping. What do you feel comfortable with? And Marvel jumped right in and said, I feel totally comfortable putting the bag over. And we did very quick takes and we were very safe with it. But I mean, shout out to those two actors, because that bag was really going in his mouth and all of that was fairly real. So that's a little peek behind the scenes.
I just want to say.
Sure they survived, they're not here tonight.
No, but just to add to that, to the point of like, that was part of the heady part of writing the script as well, was we knew with indie film, you don't have $250 million. So I was looking for something that would make me super uncomfortable. And my goal was squirmy as much as possible. So that was part of it. But then on top of that, it wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for the incredible acting performances of both the people in the bags and then of this one right here. It's not in the script that you pull the gaffer tape like, and like that's the genius of Lin Shaye. You come up with these things that really enhances it and then sells it so that you can buy it. But it was crucial that it was very uncomfortable. So I hope some people felt out of breath watching it.
Yeah, right there.
So, as a horror writer, how did you make that transition from writer, where you create these words, to actually bring in the words alive? Like, you're doing this amazing death scene. How do you separate yourself, but also infuse yourself into your own words that you've created?
Well, I mean, it is being an actor on camera is a bit of an act of schizophrenia already, because you have to know exactly where the camera is, but you have to forget it's there at the same time, right? So it's already a weird situation, and as a writer and actor, it actually helped me that I wrote it, because I knew exactly where my character was at mentally. Like I'm big on subtext, which Natasha mentioned as well, right? Because I think all good drama and all good film is about subtext. You shouldn't say what you think necessarily, because then you're going to lean into that character. So it helped that I knew exactly where it was at all given times. But then, you trust your captain at the helm, right? Because you're in scenes and you have to trust that the vision comes through. And Lisa Belcher, she's the one that kept an eye on all that. So to make sure that nothing went off kilter or the tone went wrong or whatever, because of course, most of us don't know what everybody else is doing in the scenes because we don't necessarily watch everybody film, but Lisa is the one who had the overview of all that and made sure that we got there.
Oh, right there.
As a writer, I wondered, when I think about writing, I find I'm very linear and everything has to make sense. Did you guys shoot and then cut, or did you give yourself permission? Because it's done this way all the time in movies, where something happens and you don't explain it. For example, two things that stuck out to me. One was how Pierre got in there without the flower pot falling over and crashing. And the second one was how she slept through you writing on her hand. So I'm guessing, since you like subtext, that you know why. Why?
Come up with something fast, go.
There are many things like I would add to that example, like myself and Beatrice's relationship, for instance, right? Many people are like, that could be a whole movie in itself of how we met and how that worked out and all that stuff. And I think as a writer, you sort of have to make choices. There are pros and cons with anything you add in and anything you take out. And so that was just one of those choices where I, as a viewer of other films, I like to think for myself. I don't like to be spoon-fed everything. So I hate plot holes in movies. So for me, I had to know exactly why everything was there. But then I think you can make shortcuts occasionally for sake of motion and pace. So I don't think it's important to know exactly what happened to the chair on the plant, but Pierre did get in, however he did. You know, Beatrice and myself did get to be where we're at, and all that we gave you was the tattoo on Beatrice's arm. And so there are different things that I think you can sort of make up yourself. And if you start giving everything equal weight, you know, all of these characters are interesting. And I could have spent an extra 5 pages on each of those characters, Pierre and so forth, and giving them a backstory, but maybe at the expense of the pacing of the movie. And so everything was in the script as filmed, and then we just lost some scenes here and there. Not scenes, we lost some dialogue here and there to tighten it. But I'm a big fan of making sure that your script is as tight and terse as possible, so you don't waste money shooting stuff you cut, right? So I think it's important to not shoot a script before you feel it's absolutely ready so that you can save money, as opposed to shooting all this extra stuff that you cut after, and that's lots of money on the floor.
As someone who just suffered through a particular summer movie that was just under 3 hours and did not need to be, thank you for a 90-minute movie, all of you. So
Thank you
much.
for 90 minutes.
Yes, 90-minute movies.
90-minute
We're trying to tell me one more from you guys. Yep, right there.
As a horror suspense fan, I gotta say, I appreciate that the twist at the end was fair. I mean, I didn't see it coming.
Oh, good.
But looking back, I was like, oh, that's fair. I should have seen it, or I could have seen it.
Right.
And I'm just curious, because it could have stood without the twist. I mean, not this well, but it would have been, I would have enjoyed it. When did you have the twist? Did you start with the twist, or were you halfway through the story when you came up with it, or when did it originate? Was it the start? Was it there from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I outline my scripts, and I think, and I like to lead in, as Lisa was saying, I like to write unexpected things. So I always had a sense of where this was going, and I think for all horror, the ones that work for me are the ones that are character driven. If it's just special effects thrown at you, a head rolling down the hallway, it may be fun to look at, but I'm not going to lean into it unless I care about the characters. So it's always very character driven, and making it personal as opposed to just another random person who had a suspicion what I was doing. Making it personal was a no-brainer for me, because it just adds that effect to character development, character relationships. And you know, I have backstories for everybody and why they're there, and you know, who Beatrice is to me, and so I know all that stuff, but it was just hinted at here and there. But yeah, the twists are important. I think I love twists. I love a good twist myself, so I like to write what I want to see on the screen. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
We do just have to kind of wrap it up soon, but I just want to get final words from everybody, starting with Natasha, working our way back down to Lisa.
I'm excited for people to see the movie. I thought, I actually, this is the second time I've seen it. It's changed slightly. And I really, once I see a movie that I'm in and I get over the fact that I'm in it, because that's hard to do.
Right.
And the first time I can't, but the second time I really enjoyed it a lot more. So I think everybody did a great job. I'm proud of the movie and I'm happy to be in it, and I'm really glad I was on board with all of y'all. So thanks for coming out.
I love this character. I think we should make a movie now.
Or OnlyFans. Beatrice and Abraham.
But I mean, I had things that surprised me about myself, which is always a wonderful revelation, because that's how you learn more about yourself as well, and the way I operated under certain circumstances, and the amount of story that we worked on together. And I always look for the inspiration. And for this character in particular, I had a lot of inspiration, so that for me personally was very gratifying. And I love the way it all melts together, and all of these characters have their impact on each other. So I loved it. And Lisa, I think you were a really talented director. And you.
Sicko.
She hits me. She hits me. And I just want to give a shout out as well to Natasha and Lin, actually, because I was the one who brought the script to these two that I had in mind from the beginning. I think they're incredible, and the entire cast is incredible. I can let Lisa speak to the rest of the casting, because that's on you. And we talked about this, of course, and I actually wrote Beatrice particularly for Lin, hoping that she was going to love the script. Beatrice was in my mind from the beginning. And just because we have a producer on a movie that brought us together, Esther Goodstein is here, and she brought us together on a movie a long time ago, which is how I even got to know Lin, and Natasha was with us as well. And Natasha hinted at it. It's a very tricky thing when you approach good friends with a script, right? Because you don't want to make anybody feel beholden, and thankfully Natasha is no nonsense, right? She would have told me to fuck off if she didn't like it. So I felt confident that she was going to say no, she wasn't interested. But so I feel super honored that both of you came on board this project, because you elevated it far than I could ever, further than I could ever imagine. So thank you for that. And then if you want to speak to the rest of the casting as well that you sort of created. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to actually speak to the whole team. I mean, you're getting to hear from some of the actors here, but there's a whole crew behind the scenes, and there's several of them in the room here tonight. I'm going to give a special shout out to Vance and Priscilla Hinton, our executive producers.
And the lawyer at the end, fantastic actor.
Yes, he's also an actor. So it's a whole collaborative thing. It takes a big team, and it was such a joy to do this with all of you up here, and including our entire cast and crew. So shout out to all of them. And then I'll just wrap it up and say, if you enjoyed the film, we're a little indie film, so please talk about it and share it. There's a bunch of little business card sizes of these with QR codes on the back that have a place where you can rank it on IMDb if you want to give us a 10.
If you hated it, don't go there.
Yeah, don't if you didn't. But thank you all so much for being here tonight. I mean, this has been a long journey, and we're grateful for you. So, thanks.
Can I just take a quick selfie with everyone in the background?
Oh yeah, great idea.
Shameless plugging. Can you get in there?
Everybody get in? All right. Excited? Thank you. Thank you.